Hello and welcome to another wilderness tamed video, and in this one we're going to be trying to figure out where we can plant new bulbs in borders and beds where we've already got existing bulbs. So my advice would be wait until the spring when your bulbs are all up and showing. These hepaticas and these little native daffodils, cyclamens and primroses and things. We've got the remains of snowdrops here, and where there's gaps, put in little sticks, lollipop sticks or canes or something like that, to mark the places where there are no bulbs. And then in the autumn you can come along and those sticks will show you where there's gaps, so there's no risk of damaging the existing plants that are in there when you go digging around looking for places to plant your new bulbs. The other trick would be, and this would be my sort of preferred option, is plant them in the green. So now, buying bulbs that are growing, and you usually see them in garden centres at this time of year, sort of February, March, they're in little pots and there's maybe 3 or 4 bulbs growing in the pot. Now the nursery will have bought those dry in the autumn and planted them up into those pots and then sell them on to you when they're actually growing, which massively increases their profit margins. So that's a trick that you can employ. Buy your bulbs dry in bags in the autumn, and then put them in a border where there's nothing growing. Just heel them in lightly, or put them in pots or buckets, trugs, anything like that, filled with loose compost. And once they start growing in the spring, they're very easy to take out and transplant in between all your existing bulbs and spring flowers, and that way you avoid damaging anything that's already there and you get an instant show. And the next thing we're going to look at is when to lift and divide spring flowering perennials like these primrose, things like cyclamen. Because most herbaceous perennials, your summer flowering things, you would lift and divide in the autumn when they've gone dormant. And the trick with these is to do it as soon as the flowers finish, which is a kind of dormancy. They're over and done with. You can let them go to seed if you want, but we can look at this clump here and we can see there's lots of little rosettes of leaves. I mean, we can possibly, if we're careful, get about 10 new plants out of that one clump. Maybe it's half a dozen out of this one, 3 or 4 out of that one, which is a great way of multiplying your plant stock. And yes, they look great at this time of year as a big clump. And bearing in mind, these plants were bought pre-COVID, so 2018, as plug plants, just individuals, and planted in, and they've thickened up to a size where they're ready for dividing in just sort of 3 seasons, really. Quite delightful. And these are the native primrose, kind of thing you'd find out in a sunny woodland bankside or a grass bank. They're not hybridized at all, and I don't think you can beat them for colour. So that's just a sort of teaser. We'll actually do the division in another video later on once they've finished flowering, so stay tuned for that one. Here's some more little spring bulbs, China Doxa. Again, we can, you know, mark areas in between where there aren't any growing in order to plant some new stuff. It doesn't even have to be bulbs, it could be new perennials or things that will start to grow once these have finished flowering, just so you haven't got bare soil, and bulbs that are starting to go over and wilt after they've flowered tend not to look very attractive. So it's a good idea to have something to come up in their place and disguise all of that. And we do actually have, which you can just about see coming through here, some little, there was one over here as well, yeah, little crane's bill, a geranium coming through. I hope that all made sense, and I hope it's helpful to you, because it is a conundrum. If you've been spending money on new bulbs year on year, and every time you dig the garden to put the new bulbs in, you're slicing through old bulbs, it's a good idea to have a couple of options for easy ways to introduce the new stuff without massacring the old stuff. Anyway, get digging, get grubby, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.